During her season, she refused to leave my side. Kale Morno leaned over the observation window, eyes tracing the spiral arms of the Virlia system. He had studied countless alien worlds in the past, but something about this one made his pulse quicken. This was no ordinary planet. Virlia Prime, he murmured to himself. So close, yet so untouched. The planet below shimmered in greens and blues, thick forests sprawling across continents untouched by alien hands. It was a world teeming with life, and Kale's team was here to study one species in particular, the Lyrathians. Their biology was unusual, their society unknown, and most intriguing of all, the females experienced a season every few cycles, an intense period that influenced both behavior and thought. Kale had read the reports. During this season, a female Lyrathian would bond unusually strongly to one individual. He had assumed it would be a matter of observation, a chance to record data without interference. But the moment they landed, reality had proven more complicated. "Dr. Morno, you should see this," called Lieutenant Rena Havorson from the landing bay. Kale followed her gaze to a lithe figure emerging from the dense forest. The Lyrathian stepped into the clearing, her silver-blue skin reflecting the soft sunlight. Her eyes, large and golden, fixed on Kale with an intensity that made him feel exposed. She was unlike anything he had imagined, graceful, intelligent, and aware in a way that humans rarely encountered in alien species. The rest of the team murmured among themselves, but Kale held his ground. There was something different about her, something personal. She moved toward him without hesitation, the others following reluctantly. And then, as though confirming every word of the reports, she refused to leave his side. Every step Kale took, she mirrored. Every corner he turned, she was there. Do you see this?" Rena whispered. Kale nodded. "Yes, and I think we are about to learn why." The first days on Virlia Prime were a careful dance of observation. Kale documented Saren. He had decided to call her that after consulting the linguistics database, her behavior, her patterns, her curiosity. She ate when he ate, rested when he rested, and always kept him within her golden gaze. The crew grew uneasy. "She's attached," murmured Dr. Lee, the ship's biologist. "Too attached, it's unnerving." Kale didn't respond. There was more here than simple attachment. He had read about Lyrathians bonding during their season, but he had never expected it to be so intense. And yet, the feeling wasn't one of aggression or dominance. Saren didn't seem to own him. She seemed to understand him, almost predict him. It was during a hike into the dense northern forest that the first real test came. The humans had planned to collect samples near a series of luminous plants, rumored to produce a sap with mild neural effects. Kale moved carefully, scanning the terrain. Saren followed closely, her steps silent yet protective. Without warning, the ground beneath them trembled. A series of low rumbles grew into violent shakes. Trees toppled, sending clouds of pollen and dust into the air. The humans froze, unsure of what to do. Kale felt a sharp tug on his sleeve. Saren's eyes locked on him, and she stepped forward, placing herself between him and the shaking forest. Her movements were quick, precise, almost mechanical. She nudged him toward a small cave opening that Kale had not noticed, using her body to shield him from falling debris. "Good girl," he murmured, though the words felt insufficient. Inside the cave, Kale finally took a moment to breathe. His heart raced, not just from fear but from amazement. This creature, biologically in a season, had acted with intelligence, strategy, and care. It was not instinct alone. It was thought, planning, protection. Rena finally emerged, brushing dirt from her uniform. I've never seen anything like that. She saved you." Kale nodded, staring at Saren. "She's not just following, she's choosing to stay." The cave became their temporary shelter for the night. Kale observed Saren closely, noting the subtle ways she interacted with him and the environment. She was constantly scanning, analyzing, adapting. At one point, she placed small branches over an unstable section of the cave roof, almost as if she were reinforcing it. The humans, initially skeptical of the Lyrathians' intelligence, began to reconsider. Here was a being whose abilities combined biology, instinct, and intellect in ways humans had not anticipated, and she had chosen Kale as her focus. As the night stretched on, Kale sat by a small fire, recording observations in his tablet. Saren sat across from him, her eyes glowing faintly in the dark. She made small noises, not language, not speech, but a series of clicks and hums that seemed deliberate. Kale tried to mimic them, curious if she would respond. She tilted her head, and for a moment their communication bridged the gap between species. "You're remarkable," Kale whispered. Saren leaned closer, her gaze softening in a way that suggested understanding. It was not affection in a human sense, nor desire. It was recognition, and Kale felt an unfamiliar sense of awe. The storm outside subsided, leaving the forest eerily quiet. The humans slept fitfully, but Kale remained awake, watching Saren. Her loyalty, her intelligence, her focus, it was both comforting and unnerving. He realized that the reports about Lyrathians had only scratched the surface. What no one had documented was the way their season could form bonds with beings of another species. And now he understood, this was not just biology, it was something deeper, something that could change how humans interacted with the galaxy. Morning came with soft, golden light filtering through the cave entrance. Saren stepped outside first, scanning the horizon. Kale followed, notebook in hand, and noticed how she moved, not merely walking but analyzing the terrain, anticipating obstacles and calculating paths. It was behavior no animal could display. It was strategy. The humans moved cautiously through the forest, collecting samples and recording data. Saren remained close to Kale, yet she subtly guided the team away from dangerous areas, warning of unstable ground or hidden pits. Every action reaffirmed the same conclusion. She had chosen to bond with Kale, and that bond made her protective, but also cooperative. By mid-afternoon, the team reached the luminous plants they had come to study. Kale crouched to examine a cluster, noting the subtle chemical interactions in the sap. Saren crouched beside him, her eyes fixed on him, occasionally glancing toward the edges of the forest. Kale realized she was not just attached, she was anticipating threats, ensuring their safety while allowing him to focus on research. "You're incredible," he said quietly. Saren made a soft hum, almost as if acknowledging the praise. And for a brief moment, Kale felt a strange connection, a silent understanding that transcended words, species, or biology. As the day ended, the crew set up camp near a small river. The Lyrathians of the area were beginning to stir, curious about the humans. Kale wondered if Saren's behavior would influence the rest of her species. Would they see the humans as allies? Or would this bond be unique, something only possible during her season? Night fell again, and the alien sky lit with unfamiliar constellations. Saren sat beside Kale, ever vigilant yet calm. For the first time in a long while, Kale felt a sense of peace, not because he understood the galaxy but because he had found a connection that defied it. And yet, a nagging thought remained. If her loyalty was linked to biology, how long would it last? Would it end with her season, leaving him exposed to dangers he could not yet imagine? Or was there something more, something that hinted at the future humans could carve in this galaxy of unknowns? Kale did not know. But for now, he allowed himself to simply observe, to record, and to marvel at the being who had refused to leave his side. The storm, the forest, the mystery, it had all begun with one choice. And that choice, Kale realized, might just change the course of humanity's understanding of life in the stars. The sun rose slowly over Violia Prime, bathing the alien forest in gold and green. The forest's edges shimmered with morning mist, and the distant mountains cast long shadows over the valley below. Dr. Kale Morno moved carefully along a winding path, Saren at his side, her golden eyes constantly scanning their surroundings. The humans had begun to realize that Saren was not just a companion. She was a guide, a protector, and something more. Her awareness extended beyond instinct. She could sense danger before it appeared, and she seemed to understand Kale in ways that went beyond language or species. Kale, Lieutenant Rena Havorson said, her voice low, I still don't understand how she knows where to go. It's like she can see threats before we even notice them. Kale nodded without looking back. It's more than that. She's predicting, planning. We're not dealing with an animal. She's something extraordinary. They followed Saren deeper into the forest, toward a plateau where ancient structures had been rumored to exist. Rumors of these ruins had drawn Kale's attention long before they arrived on Violia Prime. The Lyrathians had left traces of their technology scattered across the planet, technology that hinted at intelligence far beyond the humans' expectations. As they climbed a rocky incline, a sudden sound froze the team. The ground shook again, but this time it was different, mechanical. A low, rumbling thrum echoed through the valley. Kale squinted and saw a formation of ships descending from the sky. Their markings were unfamiliar, sleek and angular, designed for efficiency and intimidation. Aliens, Kale breathed. They're not Violians. The newcomers were a faction known in distant space as the Zirak, a merciless race with a reputation for exploiting planets for resources without regard for life. They had likely detected Violia Prime's unique flora, fauna, and perhaps even the Lyrathians' advanced knowledge. Saren stiffened beside Kale. Her hums grew sharper, almost a warning. She moved closer, brushing against his arm as if to anchor him. Kale realized that her attachment during her season had a purpose beyond companionship. She understood the danger, and she was ready to act. The Zirak landed on the plateau, their soldiers disembarking in synchronized precision. Kale felt a chill. Their weapons glinted in the sunlight, but what concerned him more was their strategy. They were efficient, intelligent, and ruthless. Stay calm, Kale whispered to his team, and stay close to Saren. The humans followed her as she led them along a hidden path through dense foliage, avoiding the open spaces where the Zirak soldiers patrolled. Kale noticed something remarkable. Saren knew the terrain better than any map could show. She guided them silently, using small hand signals and body movements that the humans instinctively understood. As they reached a narrow canyon, Kale turned to look at her. "How do you know all this?" he asked quietly. Saren's eyes met his, and though she did not speak, her gaze communicated a clear answer. "I have watched. I have learned. I have chosen you." It was not possessiveness, it was recognition, and Kale felt a strange pride mixed with awe. The Lyrathians had observed humans from afar, and now, in this moment, Saren was showing them why humans could survive where others might fail. The canyon opened into a hidden valley, its walls covered with luminous vines that pulsed softly in the dim light. In the center lay the ruins Kale had come to find, a circular platform of polished stone etched with symbols that glowed faintly. He approached cautiously, his tablet ready to record. Saren hovered near him, her body tense, every muscle ready to react. Kale noticed how she constantly shifted her weight, scanning every angle. She was protecting him, not from instinct alone, but from understanding. Suddenly, a loud clang echoed from above. Zirak's soldiers had discovered their trail. Kale froze. The humans were exposed, and the canyon offered little cover. Saren sprang into action. With astonishing speed, she leapt onto a rocky outcrop, her body moving like liquid metal. She created a distraction, drawing the soldiers' attention while Kale and the humans slipped behind a thick cluster of vines. The Zirak fired, but Saren's movements were too fast to track, and the humans made it safely to the platform. Kale's heart pounded. "She saved us again," he muttered. "Yes," Rena said, her voice trembling. I've never seen anything like it. She's not just strong, she's clever, strategic, she's thinking like a commander. Kale realized that humans often underestimated the Lyrathians, thinking of them as alien creatures driven by biology alone. But Saren was proof that their intelligence could rival, or even surpass, humans in certain areas. And her loyalty to him, chosen rather than forced, made her a formidable ally. As the humans explored the ruins, Kale began to notice patterns. The glowing symbols were not merely decorative. They were a map of the planet, showing energy flows, underground waterways, and locations of hidden chambers. He realized that the Lyrathians had designed the ruins not just as a home, but as a network of knowledge, a system that could protect their civilization from intruders. Saren guided him to one chamber, a circular room with a pedestal in the center. On it rested a crystalline device humming softly. Kale approached cautiously, scanning its surface. Symbols began to glow as he neared, responding to his touch. It was a communication device, or perhaps a repository of knowledge. "Kale, look," Rena whispered. "It's like it recognizes you too." Saren circled the pedestal, her hums rising in pitch. Kale touched the crystal, and suddenly, images flashed before his eyes. Star maps, alien civilizations, and notes on human evolution. The Lyrathians had been observing humanity for centuries, documenting their growth, their adaptability, their creativity. Kale felt a thrill. Humanity had been underestimated in the galaxy, not because they were weak, but because few had taken the time to truly understand them. And now, with Saren's guidance, they were being shown that humans had potential the galaxy could not ignore. Outside, the Zirak soldiers regrouped, frustrated at losing sight of the humans. Kale knew they could not stay in the ruins indefinitely. He turned to Saren. "We need a plan, we can't fight them head-on." Her response was immediate. She led them through a narrow tunnel, barely visible among the vines. Kale realized that Saren was thinking ahead, anticipating the Zirak's movements. She had learned their patterns, predicting their attacks before they happened. The humans emerged on a ridge overlooking the plateau. From here, they could see the Zirak mobilizing below, confused and searching. Kale looked at Saren, a sense of awe washing over him. She was more than a protector, she was a strategist capable of guiding humans in ways no one else could. "Prepare the team," Kale said. "We'll use the terrain. We'll show them why humans should never be underestimated." Saren hums, a low, confident sound, almost as if she agrees. Kale understood. With her by their side, they had a chance, not just to survive, but to turn the tables. The next day, the humans set their plan into motion. Using knowledge gained from the ruins and Saren's guidance, they laid traps, set diversions, and took positions that maximized their advantage. The Zirak, confident in their strength, advanced with little caution. It did not take long for chaos to ensue. The humans moved with precision, guided by Saren's awareness. A falling boulder blocked a path, sending the Zirak scrambling. Hidden pits and vines tripped others, slowing their advance. Kale led the team with calm determination, relying on their preparation and Saren's instincts. The tide turned quickly. Zirak soldiers were forced to retreat, their plans undone by the humans' ingenuity. Kale watched as Saren moved fluidly among them, directing without words, her actions decisive. By nightfall, the plateau was quiet once more. The humans were exhausted but victorious. Kale knelt beside Saren, placing a hand gently on her arm. "You saved us again," he said. "And not just with strength, with strategy, with thinking. You've shown us what humans can be when we work together with allies like you." Saren hums softly, a sound that conveys acknowledgement and pride. Kale understood it perfectly. The bond formed during her season was more than temporary attachment. It was recognition of potential, respect, and trust. As the humans settled for the night, Kale gazed at the alien stars above. He realized that this planet, this species, and this extraordinary Lyrathian named Saren were part of something greater. Humanity was no longer just a distant observer of the galaxy. They were participants, capable of shaping outcomes, of surprising enemies, and of forming alliances that could change the balance of power. And at his side, Saren remained, loyal, intelligent, and unyielding. During her season, she had refused to leave him. But Kale knew that even after the season ended, their bond had forged something lasting, something that would influence the future of humans and Lyrathians alike. The galaxy was watching, and Kale smiled. Humans had not just survived. They had proven they belonged. The first light of Violia Prime's morning broke over the ridge, painting the forests and mountains in shades of gold and green. Dr. Kale Morno stood beside Saren, the extraordinary Lyrathian who had refused to leave his side since her season began. Together, they observed the valley below, where the Zirak were regrouping after their earlier defeat. Kale's team moved quietly behind him, preparing for what would be the final confrontation. There was no room for hesitation. The Zirak had underestimated them once, but this time, Kale intended to show them why humanity could never be ignored. "Everyone ready?" Kale asked, his voice calm but firm. Rena Havorson checked her gear. "Ready, let's finish this." Saren stepped forward, her eyes glowing faintly in the morning light. She had guided the humans through the forest, through ruins and traps, and now she was ready to lead them to victory. Her loyalty was no longer a curiosity. It was the difference between survival and defeat. The Zirak approached the valley cautiously. Their ships hovered like dark clouds, weapons primed and soldiers scanning for the humans. Kale studied them through binoculars, noting their formations. They had learned from their last encounter, but humans were learning faster. "Saren," Kale whispered, "we need a plan that uses everything we've learned." She stepped to his side, tapping her fingers against her chest in a rhythm that Kale somehow understood. Her gestures outlined the terrain, pointing to ambush points, choke points, and hidden paths. Kale translated them for his team, issuing orders that turned the forest into a strategic advantage. The humans split into small squads, each guided by Saren's knowledge of the land. They moved silently through the trees, taking positions that the Zirak could not anticipate. Kale stayed near Saren, trusting her instincts completely. The battle began at mid-morning. A group of Zirak soldiers advanced through the lower valley, confident and aggressive. They had no idea that hidden pits and tripwires awaited them. The first squad of humans, led by Kale, triggered the traps. Rocks fell from the trees, ensnaring the soldiers in nets and entangling vines. Saren moved with remarkable speed and precision. She darted among the humans, directing them, using her strength to pull fallen branches into place, blocking paths and cutting off escape routes. Every action was calculated, every movement designed to maximize their advantage. Kale watched in awe. Her season may have biologically driven her attachment to him, but her intelligence was the true weapon. She could anticipate enemy movements, direct human squads, and coordinate defenses with a precision that rivaled the Zirak commanders. "Look at her," Kale whispered to Rena. "She's not just helping us, she's teaching us. Humanity just gained an ally we never imagined." Rena nodded, eyes wide. "I've never seen anything like this. She's extraordinary." The battle escalated. Zirak reinforcements arrived in small hovercrafts, attempting to flank the humans. Kale used Saren's guidance to set ambushes. Using the terrain to their advantage, they funneled the Zirak into narrow paths where their numbers counted for nothing. Kale led a small strike team through a hidden canyon, flanking the Zirak from behind. Saren moved with them, her movements fluid and confident. She used her strength to push boulders, block paths, and even lift humans over obstacles. The Zirak, despite their advanced technology, were disoriented by the humans' clever tactics and Saren's foresight. Kale realized that humans had underestimated their own potential for too long. With intelligence, adaptability, and cooperation with allies like Saren, They were capable of feats no one could predict. Humanity was no longer just a species that survived. It was a species that could dominate in ways beyond brute strength. Midday brought the climax. The Zirak commander, a tall, armored figure with glowing red eyes, advanced with elite troops. Kale knew that a direct confrontation was inevitable. "Saren," he whispered, "we face them now. Are you ready?" She made a low hum, stepping forward. Kale understood her response perfectly. Her season may have driven her loyalty, but her courage and intelligence were constant. She would stand by him, fight by him, and guide the humans to victory. The humans and Lyrathians launched their final attack. Using the ruins' hidden devices, Kale activated energy barriers and traps that cut off the Zirak's path. Saren led the charge, moving with breathtaking speed and precision. She intercepted enemies, blocked attacks, and even coordinated humans to strike critical points in the Zirak formation. Kale charged alongside her, directing squads and improvising strategies on the fly. The Zirak were strong, but they were disorganized, overconfident, and unprepared for a species that combined creativity, adaptability, and the tactical brilliance of an alien ally. The decisive moment came when the Zirak commander tried to retreat to his ship. Kale and Saren anticipated his move. With a combination of traps, energy barriers, and sheer speed, they cornered him. Saren leapt forward, using her strength to disable the commander's weapons while Kale approached, his team covering him. "You've underestimated us," Kale said firmly. "Humans adapt, humans endure, and humans never give up." The Zirak commander froze, realizing he was beaten not by superior weapons, but by strategy, teamwork, and ingenuity. The humans and Saren had turned the battlefield to their favor, proving that intellect and courage outweighed brute force. With the Zirak retreating, the humans regrouped. Kale stood on the ridge, Saren by his side. The battlefield was quiet, the forest and ruins bearing the marks of the confrontation, but victory was theirs. Rena approached, exhausted but smiling. "We did it. Against all odds, we won." Kale looked at Saren, who remained vigilant despite the absence of immediate threats. "We didn't just survive," he said softly. "We proved something. Humanity can stand alongside the galaxy's best. We can adapt, innovate, and overcome. And with allies like her, there's nothing we can't face." Saren's hums were soft now, almost affectionate, almost proud. Kale realized that her season might end soon, but their bond, formed through trust, respect, and shared survival, was permanent. She had chosen him, not out of instinct alone, but out of recognition. And that recognition extended beyond the two of them. It extended to humanity itself. The humans spent the following days fortifying the ruins and helping Saren's species recover from the threat. Kale documented everything: the Lyrathians' knowledge, their history, and Saren's remarkable capabilities. He knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had proven its worth, but the galaxy was vast, filled with dangers and opportunities alike. Kale and Saren walked together along the plateau one evening, watching the sun set over the forest. The golden light reflected off her silver-blue skin, and her eyes met his with quiet understanding. "You stayed by my side," Kale said, almost in awe. "During your season, you didn't leave me once, and in doing so, you've changed everything." Saren hummed softly, brushing against him gently. It was a gesture of loyalty, respect, and acknowledgement. She had refused to leave him not out of dependence, but out of recognition of his courage, humanity's potential, and the bond they had forged together. Kale knew then that the galaxy would never see humans the same way again. The combination of human ingenuity, resilience, and the extraordinary partnership with beings like Saren had changed the rules. Humans were no longer underestimated. They were a force to be reckoned with. Weeks later, the humans prepared to leave Violia Prime. The Zirak threat had been neutralized for now, and the Lyrathians had welcomed the humans as allies. Saren walked with Kale to the edge of the forest, where the Aurora's edge awaited. "You'll come back?" Kale asked softly. Saren's hum was low, steady, and reassuring. Even as her season waned, her loyalty remained. She had chosen to stay with him through danger, guiding humans to victory, and her presence had proven that trust, courage, and intellect could overcome the most formidable challenges. Kale boarded the ship, looking back at the planet that had tested humanity and rewarded their courage. "We'll return," he promised, "and next time the galaxy will see even more of what humans can do." As the Aurora's edge lifted into the sky, Kale stood at the observation window, Saren visible through the trees below. The bond they shared, born of a season, strengthened by choice, was a symbol of what humanity could achieve. With allies, courage, and unshakable will, humans could survive, thrive, and leave a mark on the stars. The galaxy had underestimated them once. It would not make that mistake again.